Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Let's Create series where we make a Roblox game. Today, we will work on day 6, and in day 6, we will use the script we made in day 4 for the kill part to create some more complex structures and not have to code anything because the extra work we put in ahead of time making that kill part script. And so when we create what we're going to make today, no code, and it should function. So what we're going to create today is a laser wall. And so we can create a laser wall. You can move your camera just to the base plate is fine. And when we're looking at the base plate, now we can add a part, and that should put a part just out in the open. And its name is currently part, so we want to change its name. So I'm going to call this base. So I change its name to base, and I'm going to click group up here by color. And that's going to put it in its own model. And I'm going to rename that model to laser wall. Okay, and so now with that part selected, base, not the model, but base itself, I'm going to change to scale, and I'm going to make this bigger. It doesn't matter how big it is, but we just want to make it a little bit bigger. And the next thing we can do is add a cylinder. And we want to make sure we change the color of that cylinder. So go ahead and select it and change its color. It doesn't matter what color it is, it just needs to be different than base so that we can see what we're doing. And so with that selected, I'm going to change its name from part to post, and I will drag that into our model. And so now our laser wall model has a base and a post. And so with that part still selected, the post, I'm going to come up here to model, and I'm going to make sure rotate is checked and that the number in there is either 45 or 90. And so the reason we want to do that is because I want to rotate this exactly straight up. And so to make sure we're able to do that, we're going to rotate it 90 degrees, and 45 twice or 90 once will both get us there. So with it selected, I'll get a good angle so I can take a look, and I'll rotate it twice. And now we'll see that this thing is standing straight up. And so go ahead and pause if you weren't able to do that, or you can rewind a little bit. Most of the problems we see when you're trying to do this is that rotate is not checked, so make sure it's checked. The other one is move. Make sure move is unchecked because we're about to move this, and if move is not unchecked, it might not go so well. So yeah, once you have those done, we will change our tool to move, and I will grab this red up arrow, and I will move it just so it's sitting on the platform. And then I will move it um, kind of into one of the corners, and then I'm going to scale it. And so I want this thing to be a little bit taller than what is by default. And so now it looks, this is what we have. We have a base platform and we have this post on it. And if you have that, then I'm going to switch back to the move tool and I'm going to duplicate that post. So Control D or Command D if you're on a Windows or Mac, or you can go up to the Home tab and click duplicate. Both will do that. And then we're going to use this arrow and just drag it straight over. And now we have something that looks like this. We have a base plate, kind of just a base part, and then we have these two posts. And if you have that, the next thing we'll do is kind of point our camera at this base and we'll click part again, which should be a cylinder. We want a cylinder. And now we have this part sitting out on its own again. And I'm going to drag this into the laser wall model. And I'm going to rename it laser. Nope, we're going to name it kill part. And I'll show you why in a moment. But I'm going to name it the same as those other kill parts that we placed. So mine is capital K, capital P, all one word. So kill part. And now we're going to rotate it. One of the fastest ways, we can't rotate it standing straight up using this method, but rotating it sideways works really well. So with it selected, we could just hold Control or Command if you're on a Mac and press R. So Control R, we'll just rotate it 90 degrees and put it the direction we want to see. And so now we can switch over to our scale And we want to make it big enough to go from post to post and small enough to look like a laser. Then we could use the move tool and kind of just center that inside the posts. And then, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a brown laser, so let's change that to red. And one of the materials that look really good on lasers is neon, so I'm going to change the material to neon. And then finally, we'll change its transparency from 0 to like something like 0.25. That'll just make it a little bit see-through. And so now we have this laser. And if you have all that, we want to make sure laser, the kill part, it can collide is false. We want to uncheck can collide. We want the player to be able to run through it. And if they run through it, their character should die. And so with all that done, now we can duplicate this and raise it up. And we want to make sure the space in between the lasers is not big enough for some character to jump through. So you can use as many lasers as you want. So I'll duplicate again and I'll raise it and duplicate a final time and raise it. And so now we have something that looks like a laser wall. And so the last thing I want to do is anchor this. So if I just take the laser wall, the entire model, and I click anchor, it should anchor all the parts in between. And so now with this anchored, I want to test it. So I'm going to drag it up and I'm going to take this model, I'm just going to put it on my platform. And I'm going to make sure when I run through it, I die with no scripting required. And then I'll explain why that works. So I'll run up here. And if I run through this, my character dies. So that's perfect. And so why does it work? Well, when we created our script for the kill part behavior, we're looking through the entire workspace and we're finding anything named kill part. And if it's named kill part, when the player touches it, so we connect to this touched method, this touched event, when any player touches it, their humanoid health will get set to 0 and they'll die. So any part we put in our workspace that we name kill part, when the player touches, they'll die. So we can do a lot of cool things like create a laser wall, just building, and our script, when we run the game, our script will take care of putting the behavior there. So now that we have this laser wall, we can rotate it and just kind of place it anywhere we want. So I'll put this one here, maybe put it about even with the platform. And then I'll duplicate it and move it over. And I'll kind of put the posts together so it looks like this is all kind of one wall. And then I'll take both and I'll duplicate again, press Control R twice to give it a good rotate, and then I will put it on the other side. And there we have it. Now we have this platform that has these laser walls. And so I'll press play and I'll just see if I can, yep, they stay in place. That's good. That's what we want. And then if I run through it, I'll die. So there is one problem with this, which will be your homework to fix. And what we have right now is a player could get around this if they wanted. And I'm sure you already are kind of guessing, but you could just, theoretically, you could just walk around the post and get to the platform over here. And so what I would suggest is making it to where the player can't stand on the platform. And if you remember from earlier, you could do that by unchecking can collide. So I would go into those platforms and uncheck can collide, but that can be your homework. So if you've made it to here, you're done. Good job. If you haven't, go ahead and rewind the video and see what's different about my project and yours. Uh, Important as always, make sure you save. And if you've got this far, then you've completed day 6. So good job. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and we'll see you next time.